A study from Harvard University, the one that followed the lives of hundreds of people for over 80 years, came to a conclusion that sounds simple, but tears a lot of people apart on the inside. The single biggest factor in whether you'll be happy or miserable in life isn't money, isn't success, isn't fame. It's the quality of your human connections. Now let me ask you something. What about when you do have people around you, but you still feel like something's missing that you can't even put a name to? If this is your first time here, let me introduce myself. My name is George. I'm a spiritual mentor, and this channel exists for one single reason: to walk alongside you through the stages nobody claps for. Those quiet stages. The ones that don't make for a pretty post, don't make for an inspiring story, but that define who you're going to become. And I need to be upfront with you right away. I'm not the guy who's going to sell you some magic formula. I'm someone who lost himself and only found his way back when he stopped looking for answers out in the world and started listening to what God had been saying all along. So if you're going through a season of inner loneliness, of restlessness, of feeling like you don't fit in anywhere, you just found the right channel. Hit subscribe, because this kind of content, I promise you, you won't find just anywhere. There was a season in my life, and I'm talking months, not just a bad day, when I'd go out, hang out with people, laugh, do everything that was expected of me. And when I got home, I'd sit on the couch and just stay there, still, staring at nothing. It wasn't sadness, you know. It was stranger than sadness. It was this feeling that I was living someone else's life. Like there was this low, constant noise telling me, this isn't all there is. You know that. And look, I tried to fix it every way I could. I switched friend groups, changed my routine, picked up new hobbies. The classic recipe the internet hands you, right? But nothing clicked, because the problem wasn't external. The emptiness was in a place no change of scenery could reach. That's when I got stopped in my tracks by a verse I'd already read about 50 times. But that hit me differently in that moment. Jeremiah 1, verse 5. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations. And for the first time, I understood something that changed everything for me. That emptiness wasn't the absence of purpose. It was purpose calling. It was as if God had planted a restlessness inside me, precisely so I wouldn't settle in the places where everyone else seemed comfortable. You know what's interesting? We live in a culture, especially here in the United States, that teaches you to treat any discomfort as a problem. Feeling restless? Take something. Feeling dissatisfied? Buy something. Feeling different? Conform. But what if that discomfort isn't a bug? What if it's the exact signal that you were designed for something that hasn't fully revealed itself yet? And by the way, let me open up my heart to you here for a second. This channel, it's in a tough spot right now. I'm not going to lie to you. Keeping this going, filming, editing, posting consistently, costs. And I'm not just talking about time, I'm talking about actual resources. There are weeks where I wonder if I'm going to be able to keep going. But then I open the comments and I read someone saying, George, this video saved me on a night I don't even want to remember. And that's when I know that quitting isn't an option. So if this content speaks to you, if it truly helps you, there's a link down in the comments. It's simple, any amount. It doesn't matter how much. What matters is that every contribution is what allows me to keep showing up here, talking to you every week. It's not for me. It's so this doesn't stop. It's so the next video exists for someone who might need to hear exactly what you're hearing right now. With that said, let's get back to it. Because what I have to tell you today goes deep. Now I want to ask you something. And I want you to really answer, even if it's just in your head. Have you ever been in a group of people, everyone laughing, everyone connected to each other, and there you are, physically present, but with this feeling that there's a glass wall between you and everyone else, like you were watching other people's lives from the outside? Yeah, I lived that my entire life, and it wasn't rejection, all right? People welcomed me in. I wasn't excluded. But there was how do I put this? A different frequency. The conversations that excited everyone else left me empty. The things everyone else chased felt small to me. And I felt guilty about it. I think, what's wrong with me? Why can't I just enjoy things like everyone else? And over time, I came to understand that this sense of displacement the chosen one feels isn't a flaw, isn't a psychological issue, isn't being dramatic. It's a trait of an advanced soul. It's part of who they are from the very beginning. It's as if God tuned you to a frequency that most people simply can't pick up. And does it hurt? It hurts. But it's not a mistake. It's by design. And you know what helped me understand this? Dr. Elaine Aron, a research psychologist at Stony Brook University in New York, published in '97, along with her husband Arthur Aron, a study in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology that identified that between 15 and 20% of the world's population is born with what she called sensory processing sensitivity. These are people whose brains process everything at a deeper level: emotions, environments, interactions. And biologists found this same trait in over 100 species, from fruit flies to primates. It's not being dramatic. It's an evolutionary strategy that's existed for millions of years. But the piece that completed the puzzle for me wasn't science. It was the Word. John 1 verse 11 says, "He came to that which was his own, but his own did not receive him." That's about Jesus. The Son of God came home, to earth, into the midst of his own people, and he wasn't understood. And if that happened to him, why would it be any different with you? A friend once told me, "George, you're too deep for this kind of conversation." In the moment, I didn't know how to react. I thought it was criticism, but later I understood. He wasn't insulting me. He was describing something even he couldn't explain. When you carry something big inside you, people can feel it, even if they can't name it. And that's exactly why today I want to show you 14 traits of an advanced soul. 14 signs that confirm what you feel isn't madness, it's spiritual identity. And if at least 5 of them resonate with you, pay very close attention, because this video might be the confirmation God is sending you right now. The first trait of an advanced soul is that they don't shout. They carry authority in silence. And this is something that took me years to learn. Years. Because I'm a communicator, right? I love to talk, to explain, to try to make others see. And for the longest time, I thought my strength was in my words. That if I argued well enough, I could change people. Man, what an illusion. I can't tell you how many times I got into arguments thinking I was planting seeds. And I'd come out emotionally wrecked, drained, because I was spending spiritual energy trying to force open doors that weren't mine to open. Daniel Goleman, the psychologist who popularized the concept of emotional intelligence, calls this amygdala hijacking. When emotion takes control, the rational brain shuts off. And he showed that in that state, nobody absorbs any argument. Nobody changes their mind in the heat of an argument. Until one day I just stopped, not as a strategy, out of sheer exhaustion. And then the opposite of what I expected happened. When I went quiet, people started coming to me, without me bringing up a topic, without me forcing anything. They'd come up and say, "George, I don't know what it is, but I feel at peace when I'm around you." And I'd think, but I didn't do anything. And that was exactly the point. Proverbs 16 verse 32 puts it like this: "Better a patient person than a warrior, one with self-control than one who takes a city." American culture teaches you from childhood that power is volume. It's whoever speaks the loudest, whoever imposes the most, whoever commands the room. The be loud, be bold, take charge. But the kingdom of God works in reverse. True spiritual authority doesn't need a stage. It operates in silence. And the chosen one, when they mature, stops trying to convince and simply starts to be. The second trait is that their presence shifts the atmosphere, even when they don't speak. I've walked into rooms, meetings, gatherings, even waiting rooms, where the vibe was heavy. That tension nobody's talking about, but everybody's feeling. I sat quietly, took a deep breath, centered myself internally. And within minutes, the atmosphere changed. Voices lowered. The tension eased. Someone even cracked a smile out of nowhere. And this isn't just a hunch. The HeartMath Institute in California showed that the human heart generates an electromagnetic field roughly 100 times more powerful than the brain's. That field can be detected up to about 5 feet away. And when a person enters cardiac coherence, when heart rhythm, breathing, and emotional state synchronize, that field directly influences the nervous system of people nearby. Your inner peace isn't just a feeling. It's physically measurable and contagious. And Jesus demonstrated this in a way that still blows my mind. The boat was in the middle of a storm. The disciples were in full-on panic. And where was Jesus? Sleeping, in the middle of the chaos. And when he woke up, he simply spoke to the storm. Matthew 8 verse 26. Then he got up and rebuked the winds and the sea, and it was completely calm. The chosen one first calms what's inside, and when the internal is in order, the external falls into place. The third trait is that they can't sustain lies for very long. And when I say lies, I'm not just talking about telling other people false things. I'm talking about living a life that isn't yours. Wearing a persona, pretending everything's fine when it's not. I've lived that. I've tried to be what people expected of me, and it nearly destroyed me from the inside. Every time I walked into a setting where I had to put on an act, my body reacted before my mind did. Extreme exhaustion, heaviness in my chest, an urge to leave without knowing how to explain why. Carl Jung said that living out of alignment with who you truly are causes deep wear on the body. And decades later, Dr. Richard Heyer, a neuroscientist at the University of California, confirmed this with brain scans. When a person operates outside their natural cognitive style, the brain burns drastically more energy, as if forcing a gear that wasn't built to turn that way. Dr. Arlene Taylor gave it a name: prolonged adaptation stress syndrome, chronic fatigue, irritability, hypervigilance, all caused by living a life that isn't yours. Psalm 32 verse 3 says, "When I kept silent, my bones wasted away through my groaning all day long." David is describing exactly that. When the soul lives out of alignment, the body cries out. The chosen one gets sick when they live outside the truth, because their soul was shaped for alignment, not performance. The fourth trait is that their eyes see beyond what people say. How many times has someone smiled at me, and deep down I could sense there was pain behind it? How many times has a person said, "I'm fine," and something in me knew they weren't? This isn't mysticism. In '92, a team at the University of Parma, led by Dr. Giacomo Rizzolatti, discovered mirror neurons. These are cells that fire not only when you perform an action, but also when you observe someone else performing the same action. And these neurons work within the emotional system too. MRI studies showed that people who score higher in empathy have significantly stronger activation in these brain regions. When you look at someone and feel what they're feeling even though they haven't said a word, it's your brain literally mirroring the other person's internal state. Jesus lived this on a scale we can barely imagine. Mark 6, verse 34. When Jesus landed and saw a large crowd, he had compassion on them, because they were like sheep without a shepherd. He didn't just see faces, he saw internal states. And that's why superficial environments drain the chosen one so much. Because you're processing layers that most people don't even realize exist. The fifth trait is that their touch conveys presence, not haste. I learned something simple that changed the way I connect with people. I learned to hug without rushing. No quick pats on the back. No going through the motions hug from someone already thinking about the next thing. I've heard more than once, "George, your hug made me feel safe." And it's not a technique. It's presence. Dr. Sheldon Cohen from Carnegie Mellon University showed in a study with over 400 participants that genuine hugs reduced stress markers by 32%. The participants who received more hugs got sick less often. A real hug, not the mechanical gesture, activates the parasympathetic nervous system, releases oxytocin, and lowers cortisol. It's the body saying, "You're safe here." Jesus touched lepers, where no one else would touch, where no one else would go near. The chosen one touches where the world avoids. Not out of bravery, out of a compassion they can't hold back. The sixth trait is that they've been through a lot, but they didn't harden. I've been through silent betrayals. I've watched people walk away when I needed them most. I've been misread by people I loved, and I could have hardened. I could have shut my heart down and decided, never again. But God did something different with me. He broke me without destroying me. Psychologists Richard Tedeschi and Lawrence Calhoun from the University of North Carolina published a concept called post-traumatic growth. They studied hundreds of people who went through extremely painful experiences, loss, betrayal, illness, grief, and discovered that many of them didn't just recover. They reported becoming more empathetic, more spiritually connected, and developing deeper relationships after the trauma. Not despite the pain, because of it. Pain, when processed with awareness, becomes a catalyst for depth. Isaiah 42, verse 3. A bruised reed he will not break, and a smoldering wick he will not snuff out. God didn't destroy you. He refined you. The chosen one is shaped, not hardened. And if you're hearing this and recognize that you've been through things that should have broken you but didn't, pay attention. That's not luck. That's protection. That's God preserving something in you that's still going to be used. The seventh trait is that their silence is a place of healing. There were seasons in my life when I withdrew from everything, not because I was running away, but because something inside me was asking for solitude. It was as if my soul was saying, "You need to stop taking things in and start processing." At first I felt guilty. I'd think, everyone else is out there living, producing, socializing, and here I am, needing to be alone. But then I understood it wasn't weakness. It was spiritual maintenance. Research by Dr. Mary Carol Hunter from the University of Michigan showed that intentional solitude, that time you choose to spend alone, in touch with yourself, activates what neuroscientists call the brain's default mode network. It's the system responsible for self-reflection, memory consolidation, emotional processing, and future planning. When you retreat into silence, your brain doesn't shut down, it reorganizes. Jesus did exactly this. Mark 1, verse 35. Very early in the morning, While it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went off to a solitary place where he prayed. He wasn't running from the calling. He was preparing for it. The chosen one needs the wilderness, so they don't lose themselves in the crowd. And if you feel this need to pull away periodically, just to breathe and reconnect with God, don't fight it. That's your soul demanding what it needs to keep operating at the right frequency. The eighth trait is that nature heals them because it doesn't demand a persona. When I step outside, sit somewhere open, look up at the sky, and just stay there. No phone, no conversation, no agenda. Something inside me resets, the tension drops, my thoughts clear, and I come back different. That same study by Dr. Hunter measured participants' cortisol levels before and after spending time in nature. Just 20 minutes outdoors was enough to significantly reduce cortisol. And when that contact lasted between 20 and 30 minutes, the drop was even more efficient, 21% per hour beyond the natural daily decline. 36 participants over the course of 8 weeks. Nature detoxifies you from the stress that human interaction accumulates. David knew this 3,000 years ago. Psalm 19 verse 1. The heavens declare the glory of God. He didn't need a temple to find God. The sky was enough. The chosen one reconnects with God in what is simple. While the world chases increasingly complex experiences, the advanced soul finds restoration in the silence of a sunset. The ninth trait is that love is their operating principle. I've been right in arguments and chosen not to wound. I could have humiliated someone with the truth and chose silence instead. Not out of weakness, out of awareness. Because I learned sometimes in the most painful way possible that it's not about winning over people. It's about preserving hearts. The Gottman Institute, founded by Dr. John Gottman, one of the world's foremost researchers on relationships, studied thousands of couples over the course of 40 years and found that roughly 69% of conflicts in relationships are perpetual. They have no solution. They exist because people are different. And the happiest couples aren't the ones who resolve everything. They're the ones who consciously choose which battles are worth fighting and which deserve silence. 1 Corinthians 13, verse 7. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. That's not passivity. It's spiritual intelligence. The chosen one understands that not every truth needs to be spoken at every moment, and that love sometimes chooses to be quiet, so the other person has room to grow. The 10th trait is that they point the way, but don't control the destination. This was one of the most painful lessons of my life. I'm the kind of person who, when they see someone walking toward a cliff, wants to run over and grab them by the arm. And I've done that. I've spent entire nights trying to convince someone to change. I've given everything I had for people who, in the end, chose to stay exactly where they were. And I'd be left frustrated, devastated, thinking, I gave everything, why didn't it work? Until one day I understood. Every soul has its own timing. It's not my responsibility to force anyone's awakening. My responsibility is to sow. Whoever wants to, reaps. And when you understand that, the frustration turns to peace, because you stop blaming yourself for other people's no's. Jesus lived with that awareness. Matthew 11, verse 15. Whoever has ears, let them hear. He didn't chase after anyone. He offered the truth and respected the choice. The chosen one sows generously and respects the timing of the harvest, even when that timing isn't theirs. If you've made it this far, I need to be straight with you. This video wasn't about information. It was about recognition. Every trait I brought up here is a mirror, and mirrors don't lie. Down in the comments, there's the link for anyone who wants to contribute to keeping this work going. You already know. Now I want to speak to someone specific, and maybe that someone is you. Maybe it's the person lying down right now, listening to this, with earbuds in, while everyone else in the house is already asleep. Maybe it's the person who spent the whole day functioning, working, answering, smiling. And now that they've stopped, they feel a weight they don't know where to put. Maybe it's the person who has thought more than once, I can't handle feeling this much. I know that place. I lived there. And what I learned from living there is that God doesn't waste pain. He never has. Every night you spent lying awake trying to understand why you're wired differently. Every time you swallowed what you felt because you knew no one would get it. Every environment that drained you because you absorbed everything that nobody else in that room even realized was there. All of it was building you. Layer by layer. Silence by silence. I know there are days you look back and think, I should have broken by now. And the fact that you didn't should tell you something. It should tell you that there's something holding you up that goes beyond your own strength. Because your own strength, by itself, would have run out a long time ago. You know that. So when I say you're an advanced soul, I'm not using a pretty expression. I'm describing a spiritual fact. You carry a depth the world didn't ask for, that most people don't recognize, and that many times even you yourself doubt. But it's there, steady, alive, working in you even when you think you're failing. Go to the comments and write, I am an advanced soul. I want to read it. I read every single one. And more than that, I want you to share which of these 14 traits stopped you in your tracks. Which one made you pause the video? Which one made you feel like someone finally put into words what you've been carrying for years without being able to explain? Write it down. Because your story in the comments might be exactly the thing someone else needed to read today to understand they're not alone. May God preserve what is sensitive in you. May the world never harden what He made soft. May you never dim yourself trying to fit where you were never meant to be. You weren't born to blend in. You were born to remind. This is George. See you in the next one.